Hey everybody, it's Mrs. Montague, and in this video we are going to talk about creating your very first app for Unit 3, Intro to App Design on code.org. So let's jump right in. You will receive this app development planning guide to begin planning for your very first app. And in this app, you can choose any topic that you would like. It should hopefully be something that you are interested in or know quite a bit about, that you would like to share with your classmates. So it's pretty wide open as far as your topic choice here. And you just need to make sure that it's school appropriate. So if you have any questions about that, just check in with me. All right, so let's go ahead and go through this planning guide together so you know what the expectations are for this project. So at the end of this unit, you are going to submit your final app as well as this completed planning guide. And this app does have some requirements that you will need to meet. So for your app, you can see the app requirements here. You need to use at least 3 screens for your user interface. You need to have examples of images, audio, and text, at least one example of each of those things. You need a clear and easy to navigate user interface, so I should be able to navigate through your entire app without any issues. You need to clearly communicate information about your topic. So if I am at all confused about any information about your topic or what your topic even is, you've probably missed the mark somewhere, so make sure you're clearly communicating that information. And you need to make sure your code is cleanly written and free of errors. So we don't want to find any bugs in the program. All right, so there are some steps we are going to take to make sure these apps are successful. And our first step involves brainstorming some topic ideas. So I want you to come up with at least 3 ideas for a topic that you might want to cover for this app. Focus on things, again, that you are interested in, right? It can be a hobby, something that you've always been interested in, a piece of your personal history, or just anything that you think that your classmates should learn more about or might be interested in. All right, so come up with at least 3 ideas, all right? Even if you heard about this project and were instantly like, oh, I want to do an app on this. Come up with a couple backup ideas just in case that first idea doesn't work out how you want it to. All right, so come up with at least 3 ideas. All right, once you have your 3 ideas, share it with the people at your table. So get feedback from a few of your classmates on what they think about your ideas. What do they find most interesting? What's least interesting, right? And based on that feedback, decide what you might want to do moving forward. All right, and once you have settled on a topic, go ahead and write a couple sentences about what you are planning on covering. So they give the example, if your topic is basketball, write a couple sentences explaining that your app is going to cover the rules and origin of the sport. All right, so figure out what exactly you want to talk about in your app as it relates to your topic. And I've had some that are crazy. You could do a topic like ice cream flavors and say why certain ice cream flavors are better than other ice cream flavors, right? It can be totally up to you what you want to talk about. All right. Once you have your topic, go ahead and again interview your classmates. So you want to understand what your classmates already know about your topic and what they want to learn about your topic or what they need to learn about your topic. So if you know me at all, you know that I know pretty much nothing about sports. So if you picked any sports topics at all and you interviewed me about what I needed to learn about your topic, I'd be like, I mean, pretty much everything. Give me the basics, right? Because I have no idea. So find out what people already know and what they need to learn to help you decide what direction your app is going to take. All right, then you are going to go ahead and create your program specification. So remember those requirements. You have to have at least 3 screens and you have to have images, audio, and text. So make sure when you are drawing out the specification that you are actually meeting those requirements that are required. Okay, you want to include any buttons, any text, any images, etc. that are going to be included in the app. And you can see all these arrows on their examples, right? So if I click this button called Flavors on their home screen, it's going to take me to the Flavors screen. So anything that accepts input from a user and gives us any kind of output, whether that be a screen change or anything like that, you want to make sure that you are putting arrows to where things are going to take you, right? So each of these home buttons take you back to the home screen. The nutrition button on the flavors page takes you to the nutrition page, right? The flavors button on the nutrition page takes you back to the flavors page, right? So we need to be able to navigate the app somehow. So plan that out in your specification. So on the planning guide, you get these boxes where you can put your plan in. All right. And I understand that this is sometimes hard to do with a Google Doc. It can be kind of hard to design on here. So I do have printouts of this available to you if you would rather design paper pencil. Just make sure that you turn in your specification with your planning guide at the end of the unit. All right. And it gives you 4 screens to work with. If you need more, just grab another sheet of paper or make a copy of one of those boxes if you're doing it electronically. All right, so then once you are done planning out the design of your app, that's what your specification is for, you are going to start actually building your app out with your code. All right, so you have this chart to fill out any event handlers in your program. So any of your on events that open a new page or take you to a different location, like anything like that. If you click on a button and it changes the color, or you click on a button and it plays a sound, right? Any of that is an action event that you need to record. Sorry about the bell. That you need to record here in this chart. So the example they give you, if you have an element called the dog button and you click it, a picture of a dog appears and the background of the screen changes to green. All right, so anything that can be clicked, moved, anything like that on your user interface needs to be recorded here in your on event chart. So they give you lots of rows to do what you need to do there. All right. Once you have your app fully planned out and coded, you have reached the testing and feedback phase. All right, so once you think you are finished with your app, you are going to find at least 2 classmates to use your app and give you feedback on it. So record the name of the person that is giving you feedback. All right, watch them use your app, see what they do with it, all right, and record things that could be improved based on watching them use the app. So like if I am testing out your app and I seem a little bit confused on where to go next at a certain point, right, record that because it's something that you could improve upon. All right, and then ask the person, what specific improvements would they recommend? This is where that feedback, that constructive criticism comes into play, and that actual meaningful feedback. I see way too many of these where you get a student to look at your app and they're like, oh, everything's great, wouldn't change a thing. That's not going to fly, all right? Something can always be improved upon. So you want to find those things that can be improved upon. It could even be something as simple as, oh, the color of this text is a little bit hard for me to read, so maybe you should change the color. Or the font is too small, so it needs to be bigger on this section, right? So find even little minuscule things that could be improved and share that with the person whose app you're testing. So you need to get at least 2 people to look at your app and provide recommendations for improvements. All right. And then once you do that, you need to pick improvements to make to your app. Again, nothing is perfect for the first iteration. All right. So you need to find ways that you can improve it. You need to make at least 1 improvement to your app based on that feedback that you received. You can do a second improvement, up to you, all right? And once you make some improvements, you should be finished. Finally, for this planning guide, you do have a few questions that you need to answer. So you need to provide a written response that describes the overall purpose of your program, describes the functionality of your app, and describes the input and outputs of your app. It says this should be approximately 150 words. And guys, this is just like maybe 3 or 4 sentences, like a short paragraph. So it doesn't have to be that crazy, right? So if we go with the example of basketball that they gave in the first section of this, if I'm creating an app on basketball, I'm going to say the purpose of my program is to educate people on the origin and rules of the sport basketball. Right? My app works by users clicking on buttons to take you to various screens that show you the information on the origin and rules of the sport. So if you click on the home button, it's going to take you to the home screen, right? That's the part that's describing the input and outputs of the app. All right. So just make sure that you have at least enough information here to answer all 3 of these questions. All right, and then question 2. All right, this is the app development process that code.org always uses. So it requires you to incorporate ideas of your classmates into your app, right? Those feedback stages. You get feedback before you even start on the app. You get feedback specifically on your topic once you choose it. You get feedback on the app itself. So you've got multiple stages of feedback here. Okay, so you're going to provide a written response that describes a part of your app that was improved through input and feedback from others in the class. All right, so make sure you specify who provided the idea or recommendation for improvement, what their idea or recommendation was, what specific changes you made to your app's user interface or functionality in response to that recommendation, and how you believe this change improved your app. So again, if we're going with the basketball example, you could say, my friend Mr. Decker tested my app and he told me that the color of my background made it really hard to see the text. So he thought, dang Bill. So he thought that I should change the background color to make the text pop a little bit more and easier to read. So I changed my background color from bright orange to a more muted orange, and I do think that it made the text easier to read because I had Mr. Decker look at the app again after I made the change, and he was like, oh, that's much better. It doesn't hurt my eyes anymore. All right, simple as that. So just very briefly explain those improvements or one single improvement that you made. All right, and then down here at the very last page of this project guide, you have the rubric. So this is going to walk you through specifically what you need to achieve an A on this project, right? You need your user interface with at least 3 screens. You need to easily navigate between all screens. All of your user interface elements are there, which means you have at least one example of text and image and audio. Your code runs without errors. You have provided meaningful element IDs for all of your elements. If I go to grade your app and I see that you have image 1, image 2, image 3, image 4, etc., that doesn't cut it for meaningful element IDs. Okay. Your app topic needs to be clearly communicated and explained. You have fully completed your planning guide, and you have fully answered the written response question 1 and the written response question 2. All right, so if you can do all of those things, you will be able to achieve an A on this project. All right, so that is our planning guide overview. If you have any questions on what you are supposed to be doing, definitely let me know. In the next section coming up on this video, we are going to jump into actually designing the user interface of an app. And then in the final section, we will complete the coding of an app. We're going to do it all in one video. It's going to be a long one, so let's go. All right, y'all, we are here on code.org in Unit 3, Intro to App Design, to actually begin working on our first apps. So the first thing we're going to do is go to the design space to work on our design of our user interface and go from there. So this project is split into multiple days. So the design part of it is on lesson 3. So this is the Designing an App project, part 1. And lesson 3 gives us the bubbles that we need to build our screens. So on bubble 1 of this lesson, it gives us a sample app, one of the apps that we explored, the bird quiz. So it shows us their schematic or their plan, their project specification, whatever you want to call it here, for how this app works, right? So they have anything that gives us a button to click on, like the begin button here, takes us to another page. So they have an arrow indicating that, right? And then we get our answer options. If you click on the correct one, it takes you to the next question. And if you click on any of the incorrect ones, it takes you to the lose screen, etc., etc. But it walks you through exactly how this app was designed. So it is very apropos that this is the example app that they use in Bubble 1 because I have decided I am doing a cat facts app for my first app. If you know me, you know I am the crazy cat lady. So we're doing our app all about cat facts. All right, so when you get to Bubble 2, this is where you are going to actually be able to start designing your app. So you get your blank user interface and you can begin designing. Now, I'm going to design part of my app. I'm not going to design the whole thing in this video because that would take like 80 billion years, and I don't think we need to sit here that long while I'm designing, but I will at least get us started so you can see what this process kind of looks like as you are working on it. All right, so you get your blank user interface. You start just with one screen, okay? Note that you need 3 screens for this app. So what I'm going to do first, I'm just going to start adding the screens that I need to make sure that I have everything I need. I've already planned it out, so I should know exactly what I need. So for my first screen, instead of calling it screen 1, I'm going to rename this to home screen, okay? Then I am going to add a new screen. This one I am going to call question 1 screen. I'm using camel case for all of this. All right, then I'm going to add a new screen. Okay, this is going to be question 2 screen. I will add another one. This one will be question 3 screen. I will do another one. So this is going to have more than the required 3 screens. So I have 3 questions, and then I'm going to do a lose screen for when you lose the game. And my last one is going to be the win screen for when you win the game. All right, so that should be everything I need. I've created all of my screens. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screens that I'm going to be working with. So you just click on the screen that you want to work on to start working on your app. So I'm going to go ahead and start by designing my home screen here. All right, so I have chosen an image that I want to have as my background. So I'm going to go ahead and upload a file here. It's this one. I have quite a few files that I will be using for my app. All right, so this one is going to be my home screen. All the cats kind of creepily staring down at you. All right, so then I just want to put in my title. So I'm going to use this ABC label to put in the title of my app. So this is going to be app title for the name of it. Remember to give those elements a ID that makes sense so you know what you're looking at. All right, my text is going to be cat facts. That is what I'm calling this app. Yep. And I want to make this text quite a bit bigger. So I'm going to come down here to my font size. And I'm going to increase my font size. I want it to be center aligned. I like it showing on 2 different rows. I'm going to change it to be darker so it stands out more. It's like almost black, but not quite. But that works. All right. So our app is called CatFacts. All right. I'm gonna look at what my font options are. Just see, I might like something better. Ooh, I'm not liking anything better so far. Let's see. Just going through them all. Yeah, I actually think I just like Arial Black because it's bigger and fatter and you can see it real good. All right, so we are going to do our CatFacts. I am going to increase my font size still just a little bit more. Let's go up to 50. And then I'm going to make this text area a little bit bigger so it's not cutting off my words. All right, so CatFacts stands out really big and bold. All right, and then I'm going to need a button on here to actually click on the next page. But instead of using this button element, my buttons are actually going to be little cat faces. So I'm going to put in an image, and I'm going to use my image as the button. And remember, I can name this whatever I want it to be named, so it doesn't have to be called anything that has to do with an image. So I'm going to call this the begin button, all right? Because that is what it is going to do. It is going to start our CatFacts quiz. All right, so I'm going to choose an image. So I have this cat face silhouette that I'm going to be using as my buttons throughout the app. So I'm going to make this bigger, big enough over here. I'm just going to do even a little bit bigger than that. All right, I want to make it big enough that when I put another label on here, okay, this is going to be called my begin label, and the text on this is going to say begin. And since my icon is black, I want my text color to be white. I'm going to click up here in this corner. Not quite getting there. Doesn't want to click all the way to the corner. White, our hex code is just a bunch of Fs, 6 Fs. So I'm just going to actually type that in to get white. All right, so my begin button, let's get that centered onto the cat face. We can actually make that font just a little bit bigger. Let's go up to 16, get it recentered there. All right, so now when we click on this little cat head down here, we can begin the quiz. Of course, we can't click on it yet because we haven't got to the coding, right? But we've got it programmed in there, so we will be able to click on it later now that we've got that picture selected. And just note, again, right, I have the begin label. It's got an element ID that makes sense. I have my begin button. Okay, that makes sense for what this is. And then my app title also makes sense for what this is, right? So we need to make sure those element IDs make sense for what the thing actually is on the screen. All right, so I am satisfied with my home page. Doesn't have to be super detailed. We could add a subtitle if we wanted to, but I think it's good at it as is. So we're going to go ahead and go to the screen for question 1. All right, and for this one, I have a cat picture that I'm going to put real big at the top. So I'm going to make my image bigger. And my first question is about cats' sleeping habits. So this is going to be my sleep cat image. I'm going to click on the choose button and upload my sleepy cat image. Okay, so I'm going to select that one. Look at how cute they are. All right, so I'm just going to make this as big as I can, but so that it's aligned within the photo frame. All right, so that's going to be my sleepy cat image. Then I'm going to use a text area for the question itself. Okay, so this is going to be question 1 for the ID. The text is going to say, how much time do cats sleep on a daily basis? All right, so that's my question. Again, going to make the font a little bit darker. I don't want it to be so light. I want it to kind of pop against that background. I'm actually going to just make the background completely transparent. I don't really need there to be a background to the text. And then I am going to make the font just a little bit bigger so the question's easier to read. So I think 20, let's actually go up to like 24 here. All right, and then we're going to center align this as well. We can make our box just a little bigger so we don't have that scroll bar to deal with. All right, and oh, I misspelled the word do. How much time do cats sleep on a daily basis? All right, so that's my question. I'm going to try and center it to the picture. All right, and then I'm going to put in an image for my cat head icon, which is what you are going to click on for your answer options. So I'm going to just do a little bit of shorthand for my answer options. So this is going to be Q1, and then incorrect answer is IA. And that's going to be incorrect answer 1, because we're going to have 3 incorrect answers and 1 correct answer that shows on the screen. All right, I'm going to choose my image, which is my cat head one. All right, and I want to make this big enough that we can put some text over it that you will still be able to see. All right, so once I have 1 on here, I can duplicate it however many times I need it. So we know all of them are going to be the same size. All right, so to follow that same shorthand, this is going to be Q1 incorrect answer 2. And then we can duplicate it again for our 3rd answer choice. All right, and we'll put it down here. This is going to be Q1 correct. All right, that's all I'm going to name it. Actually, I'm going to change my shorthand. This is just going to be incorrect 1. And then this is going to be incorrect 2. I'm just changing how I want to do that. All right, so that one's going to be the correct answer for this screen. And then I'm going to duplicate it one more time for our 4th answer choice. And this one is going to be question 1, incorrect 3. And see, if I try to name it incorrect 2, I already have an incorrect 2, so it's telling me I can't use this same ID for this. So I need to make it 3 because we've already got a 2. All right, so you can't have 2 element IDs that are the same name, and it's going to stop you from actually making that mistake, which is nice. All right, so then we can just kind of move things a little bit around on the screen because I want my cat heads down here for my answers. Ooh, I just resized that. It's trying to resize my text box here. All right, I'm making it just a little bit wider so it fits on 1 line instead of 2 lines. So then we have more space for our cat head options. Okay, so we're going to try and align these as best we can. Oops, and I flipped those around. Let's get them where they're actually supposed to be. Okay. So I've got my 3 incorrect answers and my 1 correct answer. This one I accidentally resized to make it a little bit too small. Ooh, so we'll make it a little bit bigger. Try and get it lined up again. All right, so I think that looks pretty good. All right, then I need to actually label these so we can see what the answer choices are. So my text on here is going to be, for this one, we'll say 30%. All right, we need to make our text white. So again, I'm just going to put in my 6 Fs. I think that's 6 for white. All right, and then we can make sure that that is just about centered on there. I'll make it a little bit bigger. All right, so 30% is our first answer choice. All right, I'm going to say this is my incorrect one. All right, I am going to duplicate this so I can put this one over on that cat face. All right, this one is going to be 50%, and I'm going to name it incorrect 2. It goes along with what the buttons are named. I just wanted to get it a little bit differently positioned in there. All right, we can duplicate it again. All right, and bring it down here to this one. This one's going to be our correct answer, 70%. So the name of this ID is going to be correct 1. All right, and then our last one, we can again duplicate this and put it on our last cat face. And this one we can put, let's say 90%. 90%. And this is going to be incorrect 3. All right, so then we have all of our answer choices on there, and when we click on this one, the 70%, that's going to be the correct answer, so it will take us to the next screen and give us the next question. If we clicked on any of these others, it's going to take us to the You Lose page, and we can then click on a button to restart or retake this Cat Facts quiz. All right, so that's all that I'm going to design. I think that you get the point. All right, so we've got a home screen and we've got the screen for our first question designed. So in the next section of this video, the next and final section, we will actually go through and begin coding this app so you can see what the code is going to look like to make all of this work how it should. All right, so let's move on to our coding. And just like that, with the magic of video editing, my user interface is now completely designed with all 6 of the screens that I need. So we are ready to move on to the funnest part of this project, coding. All right, so I'm going to go back over into Unit 3. This project is split over multiple lessons in Unit 3, so our first part of it was here in Lesson 3, the Designing an App Part 1, where we put in our user interface. The second half of this project is here in Lesson 7, Designing an App Part 2. Now, when you're using code.org for a project that is split over multiple lessons like this, code.org automatically picks up anything you've done in previous bubbles and carries it over to the current bubbles. So everything we did in Lesson 3 to design our user interface should still show up here in bubble number 1 in Lesson 7 when I click to start my coding. So we can see I still have my home screen showing up, and all of my screens are here. I've got my home screen, my lost the game screen, my win the game screen, and my 3 question screens. So that's all that I need, and we can go ahead and start coding. All right, so let's jump into this. So we don't know a whole lot of coding yet. So mostly what your app at this point is going to consist of is on events to get you between screens. You might have some set properties if anything needs to like change on your app when a user clicks on something. And you definitely are going to need to have a play sound, right? Because sound, an audio element, is a required part of this project. So We're mostly probably though going to be focusing on events with set screens. So when you click on a certain button, it's going to take you to a certain screen. So let's go ahead and get started. My first on event is going to, of course, be on this home screen. All right, I want to say when we click on my begin button, we go to the first question. So my ID is my begin button. When we click it, it is going to set my screen to my question 1 screen. All right, so that will take me to the first question. All right, and you can switch between screens as you're working to kind of figure out what you're supposed to be doing next, or just refer to your design specification that you hopefully have fully fleshed out either on your planning guide or on paper. But I will switch between screens so we can kind of see what's going on here. All right, so when I click on my begin button, it's going to take me to this screen for question 1. All right, from my screen on question 1, there are 4 answer choices that users can click on. All right, so one of them is the correct answer and the rest are the incorrect answer. So just like the bird quiz, if they click on the incorrect answer, it's going to take them to the lose screen. If they click on the correct answer, it's going to take them to the next question. On the last question, it would take them to the win screen. All right, but we are going to have 4 on events for this screen alone. So I'm going to go ahead and right now just go ahead and drag in my 4 on events. All right, so here's my 4 on events. So this first one is my question Q1 incorrect answer. Okay, so Q1, I have a lot of stuff in here. So Q1 incorrect 1 is what I'm looking at here. Okay, if I click on that incorrect question, it's going to set me to the lose screen. All right, if I click on question 1 incorrect 2, all right, that's also going to take me to the lose screen. All right, if I click on my incorrect question 3, I'm just going to do all of the incorrect questions first. That is going to take me again to my lose screen. All right, and then finally, if I click on the correct question, so Q1 correct, that is going to take me to question 2's screen. All right, so that page should be fully coded. All right, for us to be able to go on to the next question. All right, so question 2 screen. All right, again, we have multiple incorrect answers and 1 correct. So we're going to, again, need our 4 on events. All right, so we're going to drag in our on events. Ooh la la. Okay, we need 4 of them. Just going to drag them all in here at once. And we can go through and set all of these. So we're going to do a quick time jump. We have ended up here in the future after our time jump, and all of my on events have been added. All right, so all of my question 1, question 2, and question 3 incorrect answers go to the lose screen. My correct answers go to the next question or the win screen if it's after the 3rd question. And my lose screen gives you a button to try again and takes you back to question 1. And my win screen gives you the option to go back to the home screen if you just want to take the quiz again for fun. Why not? All right, so all of those are coded. So I have my text elements that are required. I have my image elements that are required. And now all that I have to do is add audio. So I'm going to go ahead. Every time we click a button on here, I want to play a sound. So all of these on events are going to have a sound that plays. So I'm going to go ahead and just use something from the library here. And I already explored this a little bit yesterday. I'm going to use this cute little kitten sound. So every time you click a button in my app, you're going to hear a kitten meowing, except for if you win or lose, then I'll probably play something different. But if you click through the correct questions, you're going to hear the same kitten meowing sound. All right, but that satisfies my sound. And what we're going to do here is copy and paste this everywhere it needs to be. I'm going to switch to text mode so I can just copy this play sound block and go ahead and put that everywhere in the app that I need it. So again, we're going to do a time jump. All right, we are here in the future again, and I am adding in my last play sound for when you win the game because you got all the questions right. And I went ahead and found a few sound effect files for free online. So I'm just uploading those here. All right, so that's my last sound. So now if I scroll through all of my coding for this app, you can see that each of my button clicks also has a sound associated with them. So whenever you get a question right, you're going to hear the cat meow. When you get to the win, the cat's going to purr. You're going to hear the purring sound. And if you get a question wrong, it's going to take you to the lose page, and you're going to hear a cat hiss. Or at least that's what's supposed to happen. So let's go ahead and test this and see if it works out. All right, so we're going to begin the game. We should hear a meow. Perfect. Okay, how much time do cats sleep on a daily basis? I'm going to get it wrong on purpose. Ooh, we lost. So let's try again. All right, it's actually 70%. Okay, cats can jump to 6 times their body weight. All right, and cats have 473 taste buds on their tongue. So let's hear if it purrs at us. Oh yeah, so nice. It's kind of a long purring sound effect. All right, so then we go home, we should hear it meow. All right, and then you'll want to do more extensive testing on your app if you have all of these different on events like I do. You want to make sure you click on all of the incorrect answers on each of your questions to make sure that everything's working how it should and it takes you where it's supposed to. All right, thoroughly test it. Have a couple friends thoroughly test it and satisfy that feedback step once you've got your app to a spot where you think it's mostly complete. Right? Of course, improvements can always be made. But that does it for this app. So we have our user interface designed. We have all of our coding done with all of the required elements. I don't see any errors in my code. And I should be at this point ready to submit it. So on this particular project, if you go over to bubble number 3 on lesson 7, all right, all your code is going to carry over to that bubble number 3. And once you've run it to prove that you've tested it, all right, bubble 3 is where you submit your finished app. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with for this first app project. And I will see you guys in the next unit that we're going to cover, Unit 4.